Welcome to Zakinova Team Podcast, Avram Kaikov. Everyone, please meet and welcome Avram Kaikov in the studio where they are personally put so much effort into the love and the creation of this amazing podcast room. And I cannot wait for us to dive deep into his passion for spirituality, his passion for business, and the Mr. Perfect that I know Avram to be.
I'm definitely not perfect, but thank you very much for having
Well,
me.
your wife will be watching. Let's see what comments we'll get from your wife.
My wife knows everything. She's not going to agree with you. But thank you.
Cool. Very good. Well, Avram is the producer of the podcast in this studio. He is the one that creates, designs, and edits all my episodes. He goes through all the torturous nights that I don't approve.
That's good.
Many moments, and he has to continue to work until it is perfect. But I wanted to publicly say thank you, Avram, for all the work that you do. It's been my true pleasure to work with you for over a year and a half right now. We've put in a lot of time and effort to really perfect everything that we design and work on together. And you've recorded many, many episodes with many guests that I welcomed into the studio, and you are a true pro. And what I love the most about you is that you are Mr. Perfectionist. So you like to do this right, and sometimes when I catch the moments where you probably didn't see it, we work on it together, and it all comes out just amazing. Thank you for all that hard work. But I definitely want to pick your brain as a person, as a human being that I truly respect and admire, as a community, a member, someone who really puts a lot of time and effort into really giving so much. I want to start from spirituality. How did you get into Kabbalah world?
Well, I've always been searching, I was always inquisitive. I was always known as the quiet guy, but my mind was always rumbling, asking questions, the meaning of life and the purpose of life. I went through the stages of religion from young age, from 11 to about 17, 16. And then I fell off the wagon. I, started paying attention to the rest of the world, started having other desires, and became lazy in religion and doing my things. And then I fell upon, some good books. I started reading, and it was literally answering my questions that I had internally. And I made the connection between the religious world and the spiritual, which was new for me. And that's how I started. I, joined and studied with a group of people, a lot of them from our community. And I've traveled to many places where we had conventions and discussions on this topic. And I study almost daily, an hour or two a day, and to improve myself and to learn how to connect with people, because wisdom of Kabbalah deals with it's a wisdom of connection, pretty much, if I would summarize it to that effect. And the Kabbalists from beginning of the development, even before Judaism started, they've been updating our information based from their experiences, how to overcome the next degree of their ego, and they wrote it down. So they actually left us a huge amount of resources, and they continue to develop. It's one of those things that continues to develop with our times. So if you pick up a modern book about Kabbalah, it'll give you modern experiences that you can go through yourself and be relatable. So that's how I started. I've been studying it for a while. It helped me in my personal life, in my business life, in my relationship with others, because technically I considered myself shy, and I had a lot of friends, but I was the quiet guy. I had difficulties communicating with people. But as time passed by, I realized that I have something more than I was reserved to, and as I started to communicate on topics that are important to people, I found my voice, as they say, I found what to talk about.
You found your passion.
I found my passion, yeah, I guess you can say that.
What is the difference, in your opinion, between being religious and spiritual?
Religion is, it's something that we as people took based on what we needed to practice. And sages and wise, constituted a form of law. We took a lot of it from the Torah, and we created the Sidur, the Shulchan Aruch, which is basically the laws for people to follow day to day, because a lot of people don't know what am I supposed to do. Okay, there is there is a God, there is the Torah, the higher force, but what am I supposed to do day to day? So the Shulchan Aruch is basically was summarizes or takes out all the necessary pieces from the Torah. So a person that wants to know just picks up that book and he basically can start practicing. So that's what religion is. It's a practice, right? And there's many religions today. Three major religions is Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, but there's over 3,000 religions, micro, larger, and so on. But in the end of the day, they all talk about the same thing, is how to overcome yourself and connect with others, whether others and then the upper force. And the Kabbalah basically gives proper definitions. The Creator is a giving and loving force. We, unfortunately, are opposite. Not unfortunately, but it's our nature. We're egoistic. We're self-centered. We're thinking about ourselves, which is natural. It's not something we can throw away. But on top of that, what we can do is we can develop an intention. For whose sake are you doing it? You have a desire of some sort, right? Are you doing it for yourself? Or are you doing it for the sake of others, for the sake of family, for the sake of the Creator, for the sake of a friend or a neighbor, and so on? Meaning outwards. Are you piercing outwards into, or are you getting stuck just in yourself? The worst case scenario is what we need to correct is using others for your own benefit. That's the element that the Torah calls evil, because that's where wars happen, that's where, control happens, that's where slavery comes from, and all sorts of problems that the Torah talks about, that we begin to discover in ourselves how we relate to others, how we relate to ourselves, and how we relate to others. And this is where, these essential tools you can learn to use. How to navigate the mind, how to navigate the heart, and then use that to actually grow internally, because a person needs to grow. You cannot stand on the same place.
Correct.
So that's...
How would you recommend someone chooses and finds themselves into that avenue if they're not there yet?
They're not there yet, they're not going to find it. Even if you tell them about it, if you found gold, and I've done it before. When I found it for myself, I'm like, wow, this is
the answer.
This is the answer. I would love to share it with everybody. But when I started talking about it, people didn't connect with it.
Correct.
Because if their nature is egoistic, they do not want to hear about giving.
Right.
They're not interested. It's like there's a story, right? The Jewish people come out of Egypt and Pharaoh goes to Moshe. He says, where are you taking them? You taking them to the desert? They have everything here. They're living like kings over here. They have a plate full of meat and garlic, as the analogy goes. In other words, when we come out of ourselves, we're no longer serving our own need.
Correct.
And we find ourselves receiving no pleasure in giving.
Correct.
Because we want to receive pleasure in our desire, in me. I want to feel good.
Right.
Therefore, I will do something. But that system actually takes you to a world that has no boundaries, but it operates on an opposite form. It operates on giving desires, which we don't have. And the giving desires actually comes from the Creator himself, because he's the giver. He's the giver, he's the force of giving, and that's what we want to learn, how to become similar to that force. That's what the word Adam, the first man, right, we call it, but the word Adam comes from the word domeh,
Mm-hmm.
to become similar to the Creator. So as we begin to discover or desire that, to become like that, the point in our heart, which everyone has, begins to grow. It begins to grow to become a soul, a full state of experience of likeness to the upper force, the Creator. And those growth levels are tremendous. Like the level of discovery, like for example, where do you get more pleasure from? Receiving or giving?
Giving.
Why?
Because it's something higher than just myself. It's something that, just stays within me, that I possess a lot. And if I am really having way too much than I need, then I just want to give.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, a lot of people still question, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? What am I getting out of it? And sometimes I will honestly tell you, sometimes I have a hard time explaining myself to people, my purpose of why am I doing this. It's very hard to explain to those that just simply sometimes don't understand my vision, because no one is in my head, just me. And that is also something that I've been challenged by for the past year, where you and I started recording this and we come up with ideas and we come up with, conversations where we talk about what's good, what people need, why do we need this, what's the purpose. And I'm going into many different chapters of different avenues where sometimes my closest people could say, like, why are you going in that direction? What's the purpose? And sometimes I really do have hard time explaining myself, but I do know deep inside I have an answer within me. So it's sometimes hard to explain, but I think it's to serve the higher Olga, like the higher good of who I am and why am I here on this earth. And this was the question for you, Avram. Do you think we're all born with certain gifts that some people find themselves to possess and enjoy those attributes as a joy of what we find, and some people could just leave this earth without finding it and living this just never unfolded?
That's the thing. Every single person has a potential in them.
Correct.
That potential is an infinite potential, because being human is much greater than just this body, right? This body is a physical body. It's an animal. It's an animate degree. But we have a human speaking degree where we can communicate and actually talk about questions and relationships that the animals don't communicate on that level. It's not about just, food, sex, and shelter over your roof. That's what basic animal state does. But human desires go into wealth, power, honor, fame, knowledge.
Right.
That we can grow infinitely in. And then you have also the spiritual level, where that's where we're getting pushed towards, essentially. So we've experienced all of these states. We understood how to develop our social developments, like in our cultures developed, the way we build cities, the way we build our law system, how do we create social structures. All of these things are actually coming from above, giving us that opportunity of growth. And every single person has that. And the only thing is, most people don't ask that question just randomly. It usually nags them for a while inside. They feel something is lacking. Whether you made millions of dollars, whether you're a successful family man or a businessman, something is knocking on your door constantly inside and leaving you uneasy. And that question is the meaning of life. Most kids ask those questions, like, what is this world around me? What's going on? But eventually we forget, because of this world, which basically dictates the opposite. Physical. Money, material, work, corporate ladders, and
bills.
Bills. We forget the internality. But today, as I see as troubles are increasing in the world, I see personally a lot more people asking that questions because we have everything.
Right.
But yet we're still at war, we're still fighting, we're still not satisfied. And that's where it's actually leading us to. These troubles are there to provoke us to ask the right questions, to wake up. And it's not just being woke, as people say, and start creating issues in the world, but literally change myself. Don't try to change others.
Right. Begin with yourself.
Begin with yourself, because it's your perception that you think that the world is incorrect. Or I would say my perception is incorrect of the world. So if I change myself, I'm going to start seeing the world differently.
Differently, right.
Because everyone judges based on their deficiencies and their insecurities. Because it's me. What do I see? I have 5 senses, and that's how I judge the world. My 5 senses are very limited in scope. What I hear, what I see, what I taste, what I touch, and that creates my world. Because technically, if you look at the science, our eyes see light.
Correct.
That light gets transmitted to the brain. The brain, based on the information that is stored in there or what the upbringing gave you, your parents, your school, your society, that's the perception you're going to have. But if you're going to start going deep inside and start switching and correcting those perceptions, you're going to see that the world around you is going to change.
Right. So begin with yourself.
Always, yeah.
You're so into this whole entire spiritual world, and so am I. And that's why maybe we work well together. What about your family? What about your kids, your wife, your parents? Are they all on the same page or no?
Not necessarily. A lot of them do their own thing. Everybody has their own path, and I don't interfere in their paths. But whatever I learn, I try to explain it. First, I'll implement it on myself, and then try to be an example as best I can. And I give a little bit of information based on their need. And they obviously know that I study, that I work on myself, that when everything is good, people don't ask you questions. When something is going wrong, they don't know what to do.
They search for meaning.
And they're asked, like, Avram, what do you think? What's going on?
Right.
And that's where I go a little bit deep. But the most important thing, it's not like I know the answers. I try to connect. I know how to connect to a small degree. I can't connect with you on something that you want to gain from or open up a business or some sort of level. But deep inside, I can give you that connection, meaning I'll be able to connect with you, understand you, maybe serve your need to some degree. A little bit as I can, as much as I can. I'm not like a guru or anything, but a little bit of what I learned is in that, is in the connection between people.
Your kids are not gravitated to that path?
They're going through their own experiences. And
how many kids you have, Avram?
I have 5 kids
God
right
bless.
now, yeah. Thank God. 3 boys, 2 girls.
What are the ages?
Blessings. My older one is turning 18.
Wow, Mazel.
And my younger one is, 18, 15, 10, 5, and 1.
Oh, wow. So you're like...
It's not without challenges. Thank God bless my wife that she makes it happen. I mean, I'm in my world and I'm not as productive as she is. She works, family, birthdays. She remembers everybody. I'm very bad at all this. I have a huge extended family. I cannot remember birthdays, but she'll remember her family side birthdays, my family side birthdays, and always gets the gifts, always on time.
Very attentive.
Very attentive. And she'll beat me over my head when I need to, not in public. Thank God she has that level of respect, and she comes from a very good family.
That's a gift.
It's a gift, yeah. We do have a set of our challenges. We are same age. We met in high school.
Oh, wow.
And we worked together in a pharmacy back in the day. It's a very interesting experience. I had no idea that I was able to approach a person like her. I was
Wow.
very shy. I was very into like never dated much. Like I was very weird
Quiet.
and quiet, But then something in my heart
She
burst, and I just
approached.
approached multiple times. It
Wow.
wasn't just one. I was persistent.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I found out that I was actually persistent. And
Wow, you had it in you.
I had it in me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how does your wife feel about what you do right now? I know that you, for the past year, tried to do some different business avenues and explore your gifts in a different world. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, my professional world, I studied for computer science. I haven't worked a day in my life in computer science, but I got hired by Immigrant Savings Bank, where I learned how to do appraising. So I became a real estate commercial appraiser. They trained me after I graduated and after I got married. And before I got married, like literally 3 months before I got the job, and then I got married. It's not like
Wow.
I was waiting to get a career or a job. I just
Wow.
met the girl, we dated, we set the date, we got married, and then life started.
Wow.
Thank God for our parents that supported us. You know how in the community, everybody just plugs in,
Yeah.
and we appreciated that. So we worked hard. While she was still in school, I was making, not much. Rents weren't that high. We
Right.
could have afforded. And, I worked about 16 years in corporate world. And I experienced a lot in real estate, from commercial appraising to REOs to, multifamily buildings, retail strips, the whole nine. It was a great job.
Great
I learned a
experience.
lot. I was really good in my values. I was very accurate, but I was too detail oriented. So I wasn't the best employee, I would say, honestly, because I always had the why questions. I was always into myself, But I've gotten a lot of experience. And then eventually, I started looking outwards. I'm like, I need to do something more. I cannot just sit in the corporate world and just climb this ladder. There's something more that is demanded of me. I felt that, I invested in a business.
That inner voice.
That inner voice, yeah. I invested in business knowing nothing about business at all, because I was used to paycheck to paycheck, no hustle, blood in me. So I needed to learn. As soon as I invested in the business, a couple of months later, there was a section of our department got laid off, and I was included. But there was a level of trust. They still left me for a month, until I finalize everything and all. Because usually when they fire somebody, you pack up your stuff, especially working for a bank, you gotta go.
Right.
But there was a level of trust. Thank God I had great bosses, great teammates. I learned a lot. And I went into my, business. I found good partners. We developed our first brand called Plenty Snacks. A lot of people know about it. And we flourished. We were growing like tremendously. It was a success. But COVID shut us down. Not enough money. As usually businesses fail. It's not enough funds. And imports got shut down. We couldn't, even though we sold out all the products, which was dry fruits, freeze dry and dried. It was a success. We signed a huge agreement with a huge company. We were supposed to launch 2020,
Wow.
and COVID hit. So then, there was a big shift in mindset and development of everyone's. But I was ready. I was prepared. I felt like the years that I studied, I knew what was coming. We know the progress that has to happen. And I felt like, I guess, Almighty, the Creator, was prepping me in advance.
Something bigger.
Something bigger. So me and my partner, without thinking much, all the connections that we had in the distribution business, we started buying fruits and vegetables for ourselves in bulk. and we started delivering it to other people that needed, because people were afraid to go to stores. So here in the studio, in the back, the warehouse, while Kov Media was moving and doing renovations, we were operating a small little store, like little mini Fresh Direct, taking orders over the phone, online, and text messages. We were doing your shopping list. You tell us what you wanted, we got it for you at a much cheaper price than the stores. And we did that for about 6 months until people started getting comfortable to come out. Then we realized one important thing, we got to think about production. We need to become manufacturers. So we recently launched a company called Mushroom Direct, which in May of 2023, we signed a lease. We were brainstorming about ideas for about 2 years. We found a farm that we wanted to cultivate.
So it's the same partner?
Same partners. We added more partners to our team. 4 of us now, and it's the relationships that we built before during our Plenty Snacks times. It was good relationships, and we saw that we clicked together, and we had a similar vision and a purpose. And during COVID, I learned a lot that food is essential.
Right.
And that's when we decided to focus on food and started researching. And there is a history behind why we chose mushrooms. And not because just mushrooms, but there's, a waste management, a waste to energy solution that we have IP in. And mushrooms became a good resource. First of all, it's very nutritious, a lot of health benefits.
Right.
And we're growing organic mushrooms here in Queens.
I can't wait to visit.
Yes, we invite you. You're welcome to come. And we do the whole process from seed to harvest.
Wow.
And we deliver directly to the stores and consumers.
So you're already growing to the point where you're becoming extremely busy?
Yes, we become very busy. We're servicing our local community with all the supermarkets. They're filled with it's a daily harvest. Shelf life is about a week, so it's a very perishable item. I mean, you can do a lot with it. You can dry it, you can pickle it, you can do steaks, grill it, whatever you want, any dish.
Amazing.
And it's exotic mushrooms. A lot of people start questioning, are you growing psychedelics? No, we don't grow psychedelics. It's illegal currently in New York and other states, but it does have a lot of medicinal properties, as science shows us. But there are mushrooms, edible mushrooms, that are very beneficial to your health of your brain, your heart, your digestive system. It's definitely an avenue to explore, especially if you're dealing with some health issues.
Did your spirituality have anything to do with mushrooms?
I did find the connection, because the mushroom mycelium is the network under the ground that is built, and it's nature, right? So nature has all the information, how we developed. And they create a connection that is very wise. They connect to the roots of the plants, and they provide nutrition to the plants. I mean, there are some mushrooms that are parasitical. They consume the host and break down the components to bring second life. So they're the very essential element of the entire ecosystem in the world. If it's not for mushrooms, the life cannot sustain. So it's a separate fungi family. There's over 20,000 different species. We know of about 100 that are edible that we can eat. And we have about 30 formulas that we are developing.
Excellent. What is next?
What is next?
What are you excited about?
I'm excited about providing the necessities to the people as much as possible, because knowing the information that we know, the world is changing.
Big time.
It's changing big time,
Rapidly.
Real estates, investments, the way people are dealing with money, the cash, everything is changing.
Right.
Transportation is changing tremendously. Energy is changing tremendously. Politics are changing. Social structures are changing. Everything is changing. We need to be up to date. We need to be up to date with the way we relate to one another. Because essentially, the way we relate to one another is going to be the outcome we're going to see in the world.
Right.
If our connection between people on the people level, which is a very high
Higher than
level,
we are.
we affect everything below, which is a vegetative state, the plants, the ecosystem, nature, the animal, the world, the still level, everything gets affected. If the thoughts, because this more than anybody, the thoughts can be both productive and damaging.
Right.
So we need to really utilize our energy and our potential to the good, to create good. And that's my focus. I mean, my goal is to create a good environment in every interaction, whether it's in business, whether it's in spiritual, whether it's in friendships and relationships between customers. That's the goal, to create a good environment.
Where's your experience coming from working in Kov Media?
Kov Media was always in my heart, even though I, wasn't working with them for many years, even though I started from 11.
Isn't your father a big-time photographer?
Yeah, my father and Boris's and Roman's father, they opened essentially the first video and photography here in the United States, even though they've been photographers and developers of portraits back in Russia, which started from my grandfather, Mikhail Kaikov. He was the motivator, the businessman, the mind that taught our parents everything. So we take from them because they trained us. Not that they trained us, but they took us along to everything that every single event. From 11 years old, we were working, making $25, $50, holding lamps, taking pictures, holding my cameras. So during my high school and college years, I was always working. I always held the camera, assisting my father. And while in college, I was still doing the same thing. I was working in a pharmacy. I was videotaping at nights, and I would go to college and work in college as a tech support. So I had 3 jobs, paid for my college, no problem.
Is that how you manage married life?
No, I became I became less productive after I got married because I,
Got preoccupied.
There's a lot going on, kids. Life changed. I changed. I'm not the same person as I used to be, even though my heart is the same, right?
Right.
I have it inside that I try to be a good person as much as I can.
Right.
And I can't be anything else. I found that to be true, even though I don't know if I hurt anybody, but I hope I didn't. But essentially, I changed in the way I see life, and I value people, the experiences that I gained. And I've met a lot of great people. And these people taught me a lot. One of the things that I think the quality that I have is I learn from others.
You're a sponge.
I'm a sponge. I love to learn from others. I treat everyone in high regard. That's basically the only way to learn, is you elevate the person that you communicate with
To the next level.
to a higher level than yourself. Put yourself down a little bit. Put your ego down. You don't know it all.
Correct.
In order for you to learn something, you need to just humble yourself a little bit. I had great mentors, and I haven't had coaches. I had good mentors, but coach is somebody side by side, and that's something I want to ask you.
Yes.
How do you work with a coach? I think to develop my next level of business, I definitely need a coach. I don't have the skill sets for this, even though my partners do. I feel like I need to learn a lot still.
Well, a coach is someone that's going to see what you are currently doing, evaluate and examine whether it's productive or not with you together.
Mm-hmm.
They ask you a lot of questions, and they kind of leading you and guiding you to the next level you want to be, because they're giving you the vision that you can't see yourself. In the next 5 years, what do we see? We live in the moment.
Yeah.
We live in right now. It's very hard to see yourself in 5 years from now in the environment that we live in right now in the moment. We don't even know what's going to happen in 6 months from now. It's a very tough question. But I think a lot of people possess this attribute and quality where they could see more of themselves in 5 years from now than tomorrow. And this is the element that I live by. I live by day, and I try to do the best every single day. And of course, my coaches want more out of me. But I think even the fact that I'm here, I'll be honest with you, my business coach, when I first started recording my videos, he was questioning me like, what are you doing? And I had that vision, and he just couldn't see what I saw. I had this vision embedded in my mind, and I still see it very widely. And as I'm telling you this, I even feel it in my stomach right now, because I want to be that big influential leader in the community. Not because I want to be rich and famous. I want to find the way to impact and influence people. It just is in my DNA. And as I go through this process, and once I feel that magnetic connection with a person, I just feel like I got it. It's like that vibe that you feel like no money can measure, no diamonds, no bags, no vacations can measure. It's a very aggressive internal feeling that's hard to describe. And that's where I'm going with this. I want to be able to impact and improve the lives of people. Anything they come across in connecting with us as a team, as a business professional, I want their experience to be so outstanding that it could just multiply 100 times, not even 10x. I want it to grow and multiply so it could really impact and improve the lives of those that I am able to touch. And that's what I'm teaching my children. This is what is the motto. Like a lot of people in my world would probably buy a big mini mansion and just live somewhere in very fancy world by the water and just have this crazy wild life. And I'm experiencing that and living that with my clients. And sometimes when I come home, I'm like, it's almost as if I'm like physically there already. Like I don't need it. I do want it, but I don't physically need it because I see that responsibility that comes with it.
I think you're doing an amazing job at that.
Thank you.
Like I've seen you in action for the past year and a half. The people that you're speaking to, the impact that you're doing, you're actually doing a lot of good that is beyond what you know. People are paying attention. People are learning from you. I learned from every single episode that I've edited. I've learned a lot. And you have great skill sets.
Thank you.
You're very good in time management. I'm very poor in that. I'm learning. I'm trying the calendar, the lists, the structure that you have. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And the type of people that you're interviewing. I'm yet to see you. We're yet to experience the next level of Olga.
Thank you.
And I hope we're gonna do it together. You know.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the list goes on. I have learned, like I shared with Boris during our recording, that process I could have never imagined that I'm gonna be on this seat right now, experiencing what I'm experiencing out of life right now. If you would have, when we first started, given me that opportunity of seeing what the future holds, and you would have told me, okay, when we first started, I think I was requesting meetings every month because I was that hungry of like to make it perfect to what do we do next? How are we going to grow? What are we giving? What are we doing? Like I was just so hungry in making it super perfect that now I feel like it's not 100%, but like I would say 50% already on autopilot, I should say. And then I'm letting go a little bit of that control where I'm allowing you guys to lead most of it and guide me in a way that it's just right. And I'm just moving on to the next chapter that I could do, which is look for the right people, interview the right people, see what qualities we need, what does the community need, what exactly they need to talk about, why would that be important. And I want public to understand that a lot of people telling me like, oh, you're so natural, you're so good at it. Maybe in my past life I was doing it, I don't know. Maybe that's how I found myself right now doing this, because it was something that from the spiritual level, it's like you almost like find that aha moment where you recognize like it's your own, like you feel it.
Yeah.
Yes, being good in sales is also in my DNA. Helping people go into their next chapter of life, no question. I could see it through. The person just comes into my life and I could just see yes or no, whether we are investing good time together, whether they need to go and grow to the next level to be able to do something in their life. Like it's the attributes that I just naturally possess. It just comes to me organically, very natural.
It's good. That's the key. I mean, you found yourself. And
Not 100%.
but you're on the path.
I'm on the path.
That's the key.
The next thing is to go and grow from being in a podcast room, taking it not fully. The podcasts will still continue to grow because now we have the Spotify where people could not only just watch us on YouTube, but also can listen to us, which every episode is downloaded into Spotify, which is amazing. But the next thing is to start doing big events. And
yeah, God willing.
We started with little events, right?
It's a great idea, panels, discussions, opening up the round table discussions, make it more vibrant. It's for people to learn. Yes, in the process, you'll be able to develop business relationships, business connections, but in the end of the day, we're going to leave a legacy of our communication between one another. And if you have that vision and that focus of impact, like you mentioned, that desire is going to flourish more and more because that's what you're attracting towards yourself. And you will impact. You've impacted personally in my life, and I'm sure everybody in this office, you're like a storm. When you come in, everybody's on tippy toes. Everybody's on making sure that Olga's needs are fulfilled.
Thank you.
Because you're a great client. We do have good history with you.
Thank
And, I personally see your vision, not just from a business perspective here, but your level of impact. Because I follow the comments, I follow the people, and I see, we don't see huge results yet, what we want, but we're not focused on just the result. We're focused on impact. Because at the end of the day, the best way to operate in this world today is by giving. The more you give, you will get a great, great return. But if you focus on the return, you will never achieve the result. So, yeah, you can have a vision, put it on your vision board, do your method, whatever it may be, but then scratch that and go to work, go to action. Just start giving. I remember I heard it first from Gary Vaynerchuk. His method, and he openly shares it, give, and then ask.
Right.
Ask. Don't demand, ask. People will be willing to help you because if you invested in them, they naturally would want to find what to give back.
Correct.
So that's what we do. We're living in the world of learning how to give.
Well, my business coach always teaches us, oh, by the way, remember, we are never too busy for your referrals.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And this is exactly what I would like to do. I want to give as much as I can. I want to attract the right people. I just want to make it very clear that I don't work with everyone. I am very clear on those that I know that I could impact and help. Some people that I will say openly that I don't think I'm the right match. We will refer you to someone else. And I'm building that bridge between right now New York and Florida, where we have the connections between other states, where my clients that are moving to different directions, we're just building that bridge. And I have people operating on every possible land that you could think of, whether it's Israel, whether it's Arizona, whether it's Florida. We have the right navigation system, I would say. But the main person that's the president of the direction of who does what is still Olga. So when people contact me, I want my clients to be very peaceful in knowing that Olga is still watching and monitoring every single direction.
You're developing a team to service
Correct.
your current clients and furthering yourself.
Yes.
Nice.
As we speak, Eileen just told me that she passed her broker's
Congratulations,
exam
Eileen. That's good.
in
Very
Florida.
nice.
Actually, agent's exam in Florida. And I'm super excited because now the extension of my team is now licensed also officially in Florida. We used to refer a lot of business to Florida, but now we have directly a person who is licensed in Florida. So if anybody wants to sell their property, not only we will be able to refer, but now we will be able to also handle ourselves the business and learn and grow together with our clients and make sure that they're very well taken care of.
Congratulations. That's great. Great
Thank
news.
you. Well, it should be me one day, but I choose to kind of like very carefully prioritize very well to where I want to put my attention. And my attention this year is to give as much value as I can to all our followers and listeners. Everything that comes to real estate. Today we interviewed an amazing attorney who was all about evictions and tenants and landlords.
Yeah, great guy.
Great guy, and I'm very proud to say that he did pretty well. When I spoke to him, he was so shy, and he just felt very uncomfortable to come into the studio.
But he did well. He was a natural. He spoke very, not just eloquently, or he just knows his stuff. He's very experienced. Very good.
Well, that's what I'm crafting. I'm looking for the right people who have passion about their business, that know how to well express themselves about what they love to do on a daily basis. And when I find that talent, I don't care how shy they are, I'll bring them here and I'll open them up like a little flower so they could just show the public and the world what they're good at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You definitely have it in you, so.
Well, Avram, thanks very much for joining. I think we had a great moment of sharing our internal wisdom, and it's my pleasure to work with you and continue to grow.
Pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. Continue to watch our episodes because it's all about the love, spirituality, family, relationships, business, and everything we could share and give from our beautiful and amazing community. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.